When he looked up, I could not see his face. He had no face. His face was like blurry, like I could not see nothing. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm actually going to be doing a story time. On Instagram, I asked you guys on what video you guys wanted me to post this week, and I put up two options, either a story time or a makeup video. And the one that got the most votes was story time. So that is what I'm going to be doing in this video. And you guys also requested a lot of scary stories, so I decided I'm going to be sharing with you guys my sleep paralysis experience. So if that is something you guys are interested in watching, then continue to watch. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you are new to my channel, make sure you guys subscribe and check out the rest of my videos. So sleep paralysis is actually pretty common. I never knew how common it was. When I first experienced it, I thought I was probably the only person who had ever experienced something so scary like that. And then I started seeing posts about it being shared on Facebook, and then that's when I realized how common it was and how much close friends of mine were also experiencing this. And I'm so sorry that you guys are experiencing that too, because it is the worst. I hate it. I do not like it at all, and a lot of people have had different experiences with it. Some have said that they've hallucinated. Some have said that they've seen like a little girl. Some have seen a skinny tall man figure, and others have seen shadows. I personally have seen only shadows, like these dark smoky kind of shadows, and I've seen a boy in a black hoodie with no face. That is literally all I've seen. And other times that I've experienced sleep paralysis, I just close my eyes and avoid whatever is in my room or wherever I'm sleeping. I just do not want to see it or have nothing to do with it, and just wait to snap out of it. But the few stories that I'm going to be telling you guys, I'm going to be telling you 3 of the stories that scared me the most. And I have experienced sleep paralysis a lot more than that. I usually would get them like every month. Recently I have not gotten any in like probably 2 months was the last time that I experienced sleep paralysis. But yeah, I'm going to continue with my stories, so I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so the first time I ever experienced sleep paralysis, I was 16 years old, and I believe I was 2 to 3 months pregnant at the time. And that day I had actually went over to my parents, and I had fallen asleep in their couch that day, and it was like around 12 when I fell asleep, I believe. And I remember just waking up to this like heavy body, like a person had just like fallen on top of me. Like it really felt like a person was like on top of me. And then my reaction when I felt that weight fall on me was to get up. I remember I tried to get up. I remember when I was halfway sitting up, I like sat up, and instantly I felt someone just hit my chest and push me back down. And I still remember like when they hit me, like I can actually even remember the thump my chest like made when like hit it. Like it was really loud, and it even hurt. And I remember I like fell back, and I was just kind of like in shock. Like I did not know what to do. Like I couldn't believe that something had just like actually done. Like I thought it was a dream at first, like when you're falling over. Like, I thought it was a dream like that, but no. I actually ended up getting pushed back when I was awake. So that is when I was just kind of like, what the hell is happening? And I remember not being able to move my like head that much. I was only able to move like just like a little bit, and I remember doing that to check like around me, and the living room was dark. There was like only like a little bit of light in the living room, so you could barely see. And when I did look in front of me, when I finally did focus on what was in front of me, I just remember seeing this like dark black smoky kind of shadow in front of me. Like I couldn't really see like a face on it or anything. I just remember that I could see kind of the shapes of like hands like pushing me down. Like I could see their hands like on my chest, like just pushing me down, and I like could not see its face. Like it just looked so like smoky. And when I saw that, I remember I like freaked out and just like kept on trying to like, and I just kept on trying to look to the sides. And then at a point I tried to scream but could not scream. I could hear myself whimpering, but I just couldn't get myself to scream. And then me whimpering wasn't even loud enough for someone in the house to hear me either. Like, and whatever was on me, their hands were still on my chest, and I remember it was like going up towards like my neck, and it was making it really hard for me to breathe at a point. And once I felt like I could not breathe, I remember I just closed my eyes and I started to pray. My eyes were closed. I didn't want to see what was on top of me. Like I did not want to focus on it, and obviously nobody was gonna be able to help me either. And whatever was on top of me was really strong and heavy, and was not possible for me to get up. And I remember at a point I could feel that I was able to move my hands, and I like picked them up a little bit, but like they felt so heavy. And I remember being able to pick them up like a little bit, but instantly they were pushed back down, and then I felt so much pressure like on my wrists. Whatever was on top of me was literally crushing me. It was getting really hard for me to breathe. I remember just closing my eyes and I just started to pray, and when I started doing that, I could slowly feel whatever was on top of me just kind of fading away like that. And then once I could no longer feel that heavy weight on my chest, I remember I got up so fast and like ran to the corner to turn on the light and like look around to see whatever was there. And I remember I wasn't able to see anything, but this was like my first experience. Like I had never heard anything about this, and I had never seen anything like this. Like I had never experienced anything like this. Like this was all so new to me. So I was scared as to what was happening. I was terrified to go to sleep for like a whole week. I just did not want to sleep. I was terrified to sleep. I had to sleep with the lights on. I was so scared, and like I didn't even want to tell anyone about it because I was scared to even talk about it out loud, because I felt like it was going to happen to me again if I talked about it out loud. And I remember I ended up talking about it with a friend, and she ended up telling me how that in Spanish is called cuando se te sube el muerto. And the way it's called in Spanish is literally how it feels. It literally feels like que se te sube un muerto. And like the way it's called in Spanish, in English, is when the dead gets on top of you, and that is exactly how it feels. It literally feels like a dead person or something just like got on top of you, and obviously whatever is on top of you is not good because it's like trying to hurt you, because you really feel like it's trying to either crush you, like you feel like you're being choked, or you just cannot breathe. Like it does not feel good at all, and you just can't scream, and it's horrible. And the second time I experienced sleep paralysis, this is actually at Giovanni's parents' house, and this time I was actually sleeping in the room and nobody was there. Everyone was downstairs, and I believe I was taking a nap that day. And I remember first I had a dream before I had sleep paralysis, and in my dream I was walking in a little market, and I kept on feeling like I was being followed and like just stared at. And I remember when I looked around, I ended up seeing this guy in a black hoodie, and I couldn't see his face, but I could tell that he had been following me and just like looking at me. So I remember just going up to this guy and saying like, why are you following me? Like, who are you? And I kept on saying that like 2 times, and then he finally answered and like kind of looked up, and when he looked up, I could not see his face. He had no face. His face was like blurry, like I could not see nothing. And he said, I need to tell you something. And like his voice sounded like so deep, and he was like, I need to tell you something. And when he said that, I was like, what do you need to tell me? And like the moment he was about to talk, like he said something, but instantly I woke up to sleep paralysis. I instantly woke up to something just pushing me down again on the bed, and I could not see nobody this time. It was bright in the room. I couldn't see anything. I just remember just like being pushed down, and I was like looking around, like I was literally stuck to the bed. I was literally like this, and I was just trying to look around, like I could not see anyone in the room. Like I was alone, and I couldn't see whatever was on top of me. It was bright in the room, and I could not see nothing. I didn't see like a shadow that I saw the first time. I didn't see nothing. Like I could just feel myself being pressed down, and I really could not move a thing. I could not move my hands. I could not move my fingers. I just felt stuck, but at the same time it was getting hard to breathe again. And instantly this time it was shorter because I instantly started to pray. Like I closed my eyes and I started to pray again, and then once again I felt it just fade away. Like, once I no longer felt it, I got up and I just like went downstairs. I did not want nothing to do in the room. I did not want to be in the room. I was so scared, and like the whole day I just kept on thinking like, what was that person trying to tell me in my dream? Like, were they trying to warn me about something? And like, did the thing that got on top of me like try to prevent that person from telling me whatever they were gonna tell me? Like, I don't know. I just had so many questions, and until this day I still have the same question. Like I wonder like what that person in my dream was trying to tell me, because I take my dreams really seriously. Like, I don't know, my dreams are something that I like take really seriously. So the fact that something was trying to warn me in my dream and I didn't get to hear it still makes me wonder what they were trying to tell me till this day. Like I still wonder. And this was like when I was still pregnant, and I was like 8 months pregnant when that happened to me. So yeah, it's just like I had so many questions, and then I didn't know what they were trying to tell me. And I remember I ended up like doing a whole bunch of googling. Like a lot of the things that were coming up, because I googled that I was also pregnant and I was experiencing this, and the things that came up were how when you're pregnant you attract a lot of spirits and things like that because of the new life you're bringing. So I freaked myself out more when I saw that, so I ended up getting even more freaked out, because I was like, what? Like, that is not okay. Like, I do not want something to be following me around. Like, I was really scared, and like Googling it just made me, you know, even way more scared. And I don't know what it was, but I just always feel like I was being followed at the time, and then I was just scared. Like, I was scared as to what was going on. I don't know. I just feel like I was just thinking about it too much at the time. And I still get sleep paralysis. I just don't get it as often as I did before, which thank goodness, because it is not fun to get. I hated it. I hated it so much, and I'm so glad that I don't get it as often as I did before. The other time that I got sleep paralysis, and that time it actually scared me a lot. My daughter was already 2 years old at the time, and that time I honestly got so scared too, because before I had sleep paralysis in the day, me, my mom, and my daughter were actually in the living room talking, and my daughter, out of nowhere, from laughing and playing around, out of nowhere just started staring at the kitchen, and she was just like really looking at the kitchen. It looked like she had just seen a stranger, but like if the stranger had scared her. And we couldn't see nothing, there was nothing there, but she was just really looking at something there in the kitchen. And my mom was like, maybe she sees something. And I was like, well, yeah, maybe she does, but it's probably not good because she seems really scared. So I remember trying to get my daughter's attention, and she just wouldn't look at me. She was just looking at the kitchen. She looked scared. So I remember I just picked her up and turned her around and had her look at the TV and like try to focus on something else, because I didn't want her to be looking at whatever was in the kitchen, because obviously it was scary what was in the kitchen. And later that day, we all went to sleep, and before I had sleep paralysis, I had a dream again. And in this dream, I was in my home. It was exactly like my home. It just felt more cold and dark and not right. Like, if everything looked exactly the same, the only difference was that everything felt so dark and smoky inside as well, kind of like the way the shadow looked. But the whole house looked that way. And I remember I was walking down the hall, and I was just looking around because everything looked exactly the same, but I knew it wasn't my home. I knew it looked so different and just was not my home. And I just remember looking around, and once I got to the living room, I felt like I was being watched. So I remember turning towards the kitchen, and once I turned to the kitchen, there was these two like tall, dark, smoky shadows standing right there in the kitchen, like where my daughter was looking earlier in the day. And they were just standing there staring straight at me. And I remember I ended up walking to one of the shadows. I walked to the shadow that was closest to me, because there was two shadows in the kitchen. There was one by the table and one by the fridge, and they were both just standing up and just looking at me. They were like looking at my every movement, and I don't know why I decided to walk up to them. Like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I just decided to still walk up to them, and I wanted to see their faces. So I remember I got really close to the shadow, and I went to the one that was closest, which was the one by the table. And I remember I got so close, and it was just so tall. Like, it was really tall. This shadow, whatever it is, was extremely tall, and I remember I had to look really up. Like, I had to go like this to see its face, and I remember I was able to see like a bit of his face. And when I tried to look more at his face, I instantly woke up to sleep paralysis. And once I woke up to that feeling again of something being on top of me, I could feel myself just like sinking into the bed. Like, I could feel myself sinking in. And this time my daughter and Giovanni were both sleeping next to me. My daughter was in the middle and Giovanni was all the way towards the end. And I could see them. Like, I was able to kind of move my head, and I was able to see them there. And like, when I started to whimper, I know that they heard me, but they're like deep sleepers, so when they heard me whimper, they just kind of moved around, and I could see that they were like moving around. Like, I knew that I was awake, and while watching them, I could feel myself just like sinking into the bed, because whatever was on top of me again was extremely just like pushing me down. And I remember I was just looking to my side, just looking at Malia and Gio right next to me. I was just whimpering, but they could not hear me. Like, I just wasn't loud enough, and I just wanted to scream. I just couldn't, and it was frustrating. And this time, this sleep paralysis was way longer than other times. I just couldn't snap out of it. Like, I feel like it was the longest time ever. And I remember I just started to feel so cold. Like, I was getting really cold, and I just couldn't snap out of it. So I remember I just closed my eyes, and I started to pray so much. And then I could slowly feel it just fading away again. And once I no longer felt the weight again, I remember I just got up so fast and was just looking at Malia and Gio. And after that, I could not go to sleep. It was so hard for me to go to sleep, because I feel like what I had seen in my dream, my daughter probably had seen that in the kitchen earlier that day when she was just staring at the kitchen, because they were in that exact spot. So I stayed up, and I just could not go to sleep. Like, I could not. And just talking about this, I'm like getting the chills and getting scared to even talk about this one out loud, because it scares me like something's watching me right now. But that is it for the 3 stories I told you guys I was going to tell you about my experience, just because I don't feel comfortable talking about this anymore because I'm kind of scared now just even talking about this story out loud. It like reminds me of that moment all over again. Alright guys, well that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and comment down your stories down below as well if you have experienced sleep paralysis or anything paranormal. I would love to read your guys' stories and like just relate with you guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel, make sure you guys subscribe and check out the rest of my videos.